we are now going to turn our attention to a new topic, Tadhita Prakaranam. Here we will take a look at the affixes, which Pāṇini calls Tadhitaha. This section of the Ashtadhyayi begins with the Sutram 4176, which is the Adhikara Sutram that sets the topic heading, and it goes all the way down to the end of the 5th chapter of the Ashtadhyayi. We have actually already studied the Sutram 4176, Tadhitaha, because when we did the Samasa Prakaranam, we needed to apply the Samas Anta Pratyayaha, which we know start from 5468 Samas Antaha and go to the end of the 5th chapter of the Ashtadhyayi. So those Samas Anta Pratyayaha are a part of the Tadhita Pratyayaha. So we required those when we had to do certain operations to complete the derivation of some compounds. So this topic of Tadhitaha is not completely new to us. We have delved into it before just to take what we needed for the Samasa Prakaranam. But now, of course, we'll be looking at this section in much more detail. To start, let us quickly revisit that Adhikara Sutram 4176 Tadhitaha. Vritti says that Apanchama Samapter Adhikaro Yam. So this is the Adhikara, a governing rule which governs the section from this Sutram 4176 all the way down to the end of the 5th chapter of the Ashtadhyayi. So the affixes which are prescribed by the rules in this section get the designation Tadhita. Note says that the Adhikara of Tadhitaha is contained within the Adhikara of 411 Jñā Pratipadikat, which itself is contained within the Adhikara of 311, 312 Pratyayaha Parascha. And all these three Adhikaraha end at the end of the 5th chapter of the Ashtadhyayi. So since the Tadhitaha Adhikaraha is within the Adhikara of Jñā Pratipadikat, these Tadhita affixes are added after a Pratipadikam. Actually, technically, they are added after a Subantam. We'll see all that in detail when we take the examples. And since we are in the Adhikara of Pratyayaha Parascha, these Tadhitaha are Pratyayaha, they are affixes, and they are applied Paraha, means they are applied following a Subantam. As a general rule, there are some minor exceptions, but as a general rule, these are affixes which are applied following a Pratipadikam, actually following a Subantam. Pāṇini himself does not define the term Tadhitaha, but the commentators, the grammarians, have given the following explanation of the term Tadhitaha. Tebhyaha prayogebhyaha hitaha. The Tadhitaha affixes are useful in deriving Shishta Prayogaha, word forms that are used by the scholars and accepted in the language. So these are affixes which help us derive those forms which are in usage in the language. In English, these affixes are sometimes referred to as secondary affixes. Why do we say secondary affixes? Because the building blocks of this language, as we know, are the verbal roots, the 2000 or so verbal roots called Dhatavaha. And from there we build the word forms in the language. So as a first step, when we want to form a Pratipadikam, we take a Krit affix, which of course we know occur in the Adhikara of To the Thing. It starts from 3193 and runs through the 3rd chapter of the Ashtadhyayi. We have studied the Adhikara in great detail already. So we take one of these Krit affixes, add it to a verbal root, and make a Pratipadikam. Remember, as per 1246 Krit Tadhita Samasascha, a term which ends in a Krit affix gets the designation Pratipadikam. So do the compounds, and so does a term formed using a Tadhita affix. They all get the designation Pratipadikam. So for example, when you take verbal root muh, we take the Nishtha affix, which is a Krit affix, Kata, and get the form Mudha. Mudha, of course, means foolish or deluded. This is how we create a Pratipadikam using what is called as a primary affix. Primary affixes meaning Krit affixes. Primary because they are added directly to a verbal root. Now, after we have a Pratipadikam, we can create a new Pratipadikam. by adding a secondary affix, that is a tadhitaha affix, to create a second pratipadikam, a derived pratipadikam you can call it. So you can take a pratipadikam, it could even be a compound pratipadikam, and add a tadhitaha affix, which is sometimes referred to as a secondary affix, to create a derived pratipadikam. So we can take the pratipadikam mudha, which we found by adding the krit affix kta to the verbal root muh, and we can use a tadhita affix to create a new pratipadikam, a derived pratipadikam maudhya. The pratipadikam maudhya means foolishness. This is how we take a pratipadikam, in this case mudha, and then apply a tadhita affix, which is called a secondary affix, to create a derived pratipadikam, in this case maudhya. So that is why these tadhita affixes are referred to in English as secondary affixes, while the krit affixes are referred to as primary affixes. Okay, with that background, let us now start our study by taking a look at another Adhikara Sutram, which is a sutram contained in the Adhikara of 4176 Tadhitaha. This Adhikara Sutram which we are taking now is 4182 Samarthanam Prathamadva. The vritti of this Sutram 4182 says, Idam padatrayam adhikriyate pragdisha iti yavat. The three terms Samarthanam, Prathamat and Va are hereby authorized to exert their influence on the rules down from here, 4182, prior to 531, Pragdisho Vibhaktihi. Hence the affixes prescribed by the rules in this section are introduced optionally. The sutram says Va, following the term which is the first among the terms mentioned in the prescribing rule and is capable of conveying a meaning, which is only possible once the sandhi operations inside the term have been performed. So this sutram authorizes three terms, Samarthanam, Prathamad and Va. All these terms exert their influence from this sutram 4182 all the way down prior to 531. First note here says that this is a Adhikara Sutram, a governing rule which itself does not prescribe any operation, but exerts its influence on the rules that follow. This Sutram exerts its influence on the rules prior to 531, Pragdisho Vibhaktihi, as we already mentioned. Second note says the Adhikara of 4182, Samarthanam Prathamadva, is contained within the Adhikara of 4176, Tadhitaha, which itself is contained within the Adhikara of 411, Jñā Pratipadikat, which itself is contained within the Adhikara of 311, 312, Pratyaha Parascha. We already mentioned that the Tadhitaha affixes are employed following a Pratipadikam, actually technically following a Subandham. That is because they are in the Adhikara of Jñā Pratipadikat and also Pratyaha Parascha. And this Adhikara Sutram 4182, Samarthanam Prathamadva, exerts its influence on the section starting from here, 4182, prior to 531, Pragdisho Vibhaktihi. Let us take a look at the next note now. The commentators tell us that the Shashti Vibhaktihi used in the form Samarthanam in this Sutram 4182 is in the sense of Nirdharane, which of course we know is as per the Sutram 2341, Yatascha Nirdharanam. That Sutram tells us that a sixth case affix or a seventh case affix is used following a Pratipadikam which denotes a group or whole from which an element or part is to be singled out based on a genus or quality or action or proper name. So in the present situation we have Shashti Vibhaktihi in Samarthanam is the Shashti which is used Nirdharane. So that is a group of terms capable of expressing meaning. And from that group, one is being singled out. On what basis? It is being singled out on the basis that it is mentioned first in the prescribing rule, meaning the rule which prescribes the tadhitaha affix. In that rule, in that sutram, that term which is mentioned first is being singled out. So that is how the Shashti in Samarthanam is nirdharane. So when we have to apply tadhitaha affix prescribed by a sutram in this section from 4.182 down to prior to 5.3.1, we have to look at the rule, the sutram which prescribes the affix, and in that sutram, the term which is mentioned first, we have to take that term and then apply the affix following a subantam which is indicated by that term. And we also have to make sure that the subantam to which we are adding the tadhitaha affix is capable of expressing meaning, which means that the sandhi operations in it have already been performed. That is the gist of this sutram. The next note clarifies that by saying the affixes prescribed in this section are optional, it means that a sentence may also be constructed to convey the same meaning. For example, we can have the form aupagavaha, which ends in the tadhitaha affix an, or the sentence upagorapatyam, upagoho apatyam, to convey the same meaning. Descendant of upagu, anyatarasyan grahananuvrittehe samasopi. By bringing down the anuvritti of anyatarasyam from the prior sutram 4.181, you can also have the compound upagvapatyam conveying the same meaning. So there are three forms possible. One is constructed using the tadhitaha affix, one is a sentence, and one is a compound. They all convey the same meaning. In this case, the meaning is descendant of upagu. So we can have aupagavaha or upagoho apatyam or upagvapatyam. All convey the same meaning. Next note here says that by authorizing three individual terms, samarthanam, prathamat and va, it is understood that if one or two of the terms are not applicable in a particular rule, the other or others still apply. Even though samarthanam and prathamat have no application from 5.3.1 on down, the term va optionally continues to apply. So that is why these three terms are individually authorized. So if one or two of them becomes inapplicable in a particular rule, the other remaining one or two can still exert their influence. Next note says that in general a tadhitaha affix is added to a padam and not to a raw pratipadikam, making the operation a padavidhi, and hence subject to the Paribhasha Sutram 2.1.1 samarthaf padavidhi. So consider the example. Vastram upagor apatyan chaitrasya. Upago's garment, Chaitra's descendant. The padam upagoho does end in the sixth case affix, nyas. Its connection is with vastram and not with apatyam. Hence we cannot add a tadhitaha affix an upago nyas in the sense of tasya apatyam, which is 4.192. So a tadhita vidhi is also a pada vidhi. As we have mentioned already, tadhita affix is added not to a raw pratipadikam but to a subantam, which is a padam. So the Paribhasha Sutram samarthaf padavidhi, which of course we used when we studied the Samasa Prakaranam, which is also a padavidhi. Here the tadhita vidhi is also a padavidhi. So that Paribhasha Sutram has to be respected here also. So for example, we say Vastram upagoho apatyam chaitrasya. We cannot blindly take upagoho as a shashtyantam and use tasyapatyam to apply the affix an, because the logical connection, the syntactic connection is not between upagoho and apatyam, but between upagoho and vastram. Apatyam connects with chaitrasya. So keep in mind that the tadhitaha formations are also operations involving a padam. So therefore we have to respect the Paribhasha Sutram 2.1.1 samarthaf padavidhi, which we of course know from the Samasa Prakaranam, because that was also a padavidhi. The next note here says that in this sutram, the meaning of samarthyam is krita sandhikaryatvam, a state in which the sandhi operations have been performed. We will see this in greater detail when we take an example. But for the time being, please note that this meaning of samarthyam is different from that in the Sutram 211, Samarthaf Padavidihi. Sutram 211, Samarthaf Padavidihi says that an operation relating to terms having the designation Padam is to be understood to be conditioned on the terms being connected in sense. So there Samarthyam means a logical connection, syntactic connection between the terms. Here in the Sutram Samarthanam Prathamadva, the Samarthyam means Kritasandhi Karyatvam, which means that the internal sandhi operations within the Padam have to be performed first before we bring in the Tadhita affix. So please keep this distinction in meaning of Samarthyam as used in the Sutram Samarthaf Padavidihi 211 in contrast to the Sutram 4182 Samarthanam Prathamadva, which is what we are considering now. Of course, as already mentioned, that Sutram 211 Samarthaf Padavidihi also applies to Tadhita Vidhi because Tadhita Vidhi is a Padavidihi. The next note here says that the term Tadhitaha is of course used to denote the affixes described from 4176 Tadhitaha down to the end of the 5th chapter of the Ashtadhyayi, but it may also be used to denote the word forms which are derived using these affixes. It's a little bit strange because when we did the Krit affixes, the term Krit denotes just the affixes, while the term, the Pratipadikam which is formed using a Krit affix is called a Kridantam, a term ending in a Krit affix. But here the convention is such that Tadhitaha of course refers to the affixes themselves, as it's clear from the Ashtadhyayi Adhikaraha, where these affixes are prescribed, the Adhikaraha running down from 4176 down to the end of the 5th chapter. But the term Tadhitaha is also used to denote the word forms derived using these Tadhitaha affixes. Technically speaking, it should be called Tadhita Ghatitam Pratipadikam. Why Ghatitam? Why not Tadhita Antam? Because as mentioned, sometimes the Tadhita affixes may not come at the end and they may be infixed in some cases. So that is why we say Tadhita Ghatitam. But most of the time the term Ghatita is left understood and the word forms which are formed using the Tadhitaha affixes are also called Tadhitaha. Please keep this in mind, that it is not just the affixes but also the word forms constructed using these affixes. Okay, the next note here says that Pāṇini has devoted 1115 rules from 4176 Tadhitaha down to the end of the 5th chapter in the Ashtadhyayi for Tadhitaha affixes. So about 25% of the Ashtadhyayi is devoted to these Tadhitaha affixes. That is kind of the bad news because we have so many rules prescribing all these affixes. The good news is that once we know which affix to add, the operations are generally quite straightforward. So we don't have many steps in the derivation, but to find out which affix to apply in which meaning to which nominal base, that is not that easy because there are more than 1,000 rules, which is what 25% of the Ashtadhyayi is devoted to this topic of Tadhitaha. It's a large section accounting for more than a quarter of the entire Ashtadhyayi. And another bad news is that at the end of all that, with all these 1,000 rules, 1,000 plus rules, sometimes the allegation is made that Tadhiteshu Mudhaha Pāṇiniyaha, which means that the followers of Pāṇini do not understand Tadhitaha affixes. The reason is that the language has developed, and even though Pāṇini has done an excellent job of covering this topic of Tadhitaha, it is not really possible to cover every single form that is encountered in the language. So this is more of an art form, you can say. It is not a black and white topic. It is an area in which we had to use some extensions, some imagination to account for some of the forms in the language. This does not mean that we should just take any affix and start forming the form that we like. All that means is that if we take all the Shishta Prayogaha, all the words accepted by the scholars, we may see some Tadhitaha forms which unfortunately cannot be formed using the strict rules of the Ashtadhyayi. So we have to be a little bit flexible. That's what this means. Let us now take a udaharanam, an example, to understand how this system of tadhitaha works. Example is Suthitasya apatyam Uman Sauthitihi, male descendant of Suthita, as mandated by the present Sutram 4.182 Samarthanam Prathamadva. We have to first perform the sandhi operation between Su plus Utthita to give Suthita by 6.1.101 Akasavarne Dirghaha, and only then add the appropriate tadhita affix. So Alaukika Vigraha is Suthita Nyas plus Iny by 4.192 Tasyapatyam and 4.195 Ata Iny. We will be studying these rules in detail later on. For the time being, just note that the affix being used here is in the sense of Tasyapatyam, his descendant. That is the adhikara. And within the adhikara, the rule which is applicable to our example is 4.195 Ata Iny. In the Sutram 4.192 Tasyapatyam, the term Tasya is mentioned first, and hence the affix Iny is added to Suthita Nyas, which denotes the name of the person who has the descendant, and not to, for example, Devadatta Su, which denotes the name of the descendant. So here we have two related entities. One is the person who has the descendant, and one is the descendant. Which one do we add the affix to? We add the affix to that which is denoted by the term mentioned first in the sutram, which prescribes the affix. The affix is prescribed by the sutram Ata Iny, which is in the adhikara of Tasyapatyam, and in that sutram Tasyapatyam, the term Tasya is mentioned first, not Apatyam. So the term which denotes the one whose descendant it is, in this case it is the term Suthita plus Nyas that takes the affix Iny. If the descendant is named Devadatta, we don't add the affix to Devadatta Su, because Apatyam is not mentioned first in the sutram Tasyapatyam. Okay, the next step in the derivation is we remove the it letter Nya, which is at the end of the affix Ing. It gets the it sanya by 133 halantyam, takes lopaha by 139 tasya lopaha. Note here says that Suthita Nyas plus E gets the designation Pradipadikam by 1246 Kritadita Samasascha, because we have applied a Tadhitaha affix. This allows 2471 Supo Dhatu Pradipadikayoho to apply in the next step to perform the look elision on the sup affix Nyas, which is inside the Pradipadikam. And then we apply 72117 Tadhiteshvachamadehe to perform the Vriddhi substitution in place of the vowel U, which is the first vowel in the base Suthita. So now we get Sauthita plus E. Now the base Sauthita gets the designation Bha by 1418 Yachibham, because the affix E is a Swadi affix. Remember, the Swadi affixes include all the affixes down from 412 Swau, Jas, Out, etc. all the way down to the end of the 5th chapter of the Ashtadhyayi. So all the Tadhita affixes are Swadi affixes. So therefore 1418 Yachibham can be used here to give the designation Bha to the Angam Sauthita. And then 64148 Yasyetisha prescribes the lopaha of the ending letter A of the Angam Sauthita. So we get Sauthita E, which is Sauthiti. That is the Pradipadikam which denotes the descendant of Suthita. Now if we were to add the Tadhita affix in without first performing the sandhi operation between Su plus Uthita, we would get the incorrect final form Savuthitihi as follows. Su Uthita Nyas plus Ing by 4192 Tasyapatyam and 4195 Ata Ing equals Su Uthita Nyas plus E by Halantyam Tasya Lopaha 133 139 equals Su uttita e by 2471. Supo dhatu pradipadikayoho equals sau uttita plus e by 72117. Taditesh vachamadehe equals savuttita plus e by 6178. Echoyavayavaha equals savutthit plus e by 1418. Yachivam and 64148. Yasyeti cha equals savuttiti. So it will be the incorrect form. So therefore, this highlights the importance of this Adhikara Sutram 4182, Samarthanam Prathamadva. Because if we don't check for the Samarthyam, then we get incorrect forms. So the first thing is to take the term to which the affix is being added and make sure that the sandhi operations in that term have been performed. Should be a krita sandhi karyam. Otherwise, you may end up with the incorrect form. So this is how this adhikaraha is vital in the derivation of these forms.